My name is Kate O'Sullivan and I'm 23 years old and a background in film, drama and music.
My name's Toby Meadows and I'm 24. I do audio recordings with a particular focus on music and also audio for film and sound design at Contortionist Studios.
Maybe what if we take that one there and then we deal with two of the eight? Can we do one drill bit?
For our opening night we had a couple of bands, Mossman Alder and Nova Scotia. And that night we also had a range of different artists. The idea behind the name Contortionist Studios is to create a space that can shift and change to sort of house any sort of art form. We want to be able to do films and audio and have play rehearsals, sculpture, art exhibits, basically anything. Yeah, I've been looking at commercialrealestate.com for quite a while, probably on and off for the last 2 years. And when I told everyone else that I was going to have a look at a place, everyone else was on board, and Kate especially was like, yeah, I'd love to come along and have a look. I actually dropped one of the guys that came along, who's living with us now, Adam. I dropped him back home, and by the time I got back to our house where we're all living, they were all sitting out the back having a meeting and writing up figures on how we could afford it, which was mind-blowing because it was completely outside of anything I thought we could do. But yeah, that afternoon we figured out how we could afford it. And then there was just a process of meetings with the real estate agent to try and make sure that it was all going to be legit, to make sure we could all live there.
There were, thank goodness for legal support of my uncle, which is wonderful to have a big collective of friends from many different backgrounds and family support, because there was some trickiness actually. And I believe that that's probably why there aren't more spaces like this.
I think the biggest part of us getting to where we are is our own drive as a group. We've had to push through a lot of stuff that we're very unfamiliar with, like the legal side of dealing with leases, and especially with a commercial property, and just the idea of 8 people living together and working together can be a bit daunting, but for us to sort of push through all of those barriers and make it happen, yeah, I think that's been the biggest thing. And we had all these ideas, and the things we didn't think about were the basic things like liquor licensing and public liability insurance, all of the actual legal side, the boring stuff basically, which is yeah, the other side of the brain completely, which was very important. We had some meetings with Small Lakes, and they helped us out so much. That first meeting when we left, we're like, oh my god, we've got so much to think about. Yeah, so we had to go around and organise a lot of things like liquor licensing and public liability.
Here at Contortionist, we have the absolute fear that in a year's time we could be kicked out. We don't own this. We don't own our future. We don't own our any form of creative integrity, because anything that we build up within the next year could suddenly be taken away from us. We so desperately want to see more spaces like this around Brisbane that we can work with and collaborate with. I so desperately wish that we had spaces that were affordable and artists being able to utilise and take on long-term leases in these heritage listed spaces.
When we were looking at getting grants, it was all very complicated and hard to interpret as an artist.
I would love it if there was some different ways of approaching it rather than through paper. I think one-on-one interviews, or actually inviting a grant holder along to one of the, I mean, imagine having, being able to invite someone along to one of the actual productions or gigs that we put on, actually see the space, see the people, see them at work, see them in their best light.
Yes, what I'd like to say is to have those networking events that had people of all different levels, so professionals right down to people that are just starting out, and to have them all sort of mingling together on a, you know, sort of less formal sort of networking event. So I think that'd help the people that were professionals working in the industry hold on to the grassroots side of it, but also the people that were right down the bottom would help inspire them to create as well.